Okay, so we've got the basics of styles, and the next step is to look at some of the built-in styles that we're absolutely going to have to use, and it's going to make our life a lot easier when it comes to making an editable document. So the first of those series is looking at the headings. Using the heading styles that are built into Microsoft Word to make sure that we can build a framework appropriate to our document, get them formatted the way we want them to look, and then they're then going to be available to us when it comes to automating things like putting in a table of contents, which is going to make our life a whole lot easier. So it's not too hard, should be fairly quick. We're just going to turn around here to the computer and have a quick look-see, see what we can do. Okay, so we're here in our document, and the only thing that I've changed since we were last looking at it is I've added kind of a framework of headings to give us something to build on, save us a little bit of time while I type them in. And I'm going to pop open my style sheet just very quickly. So again, up here into the ribbon, into styles, hit the little drop-down box and open up our style sheet so we see where we are. And the thing that I want to focus on is headings 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's actually more available to us if we need them. They only start to show up as you use them, but we're probably going to try to limit ourselves to the top 3, maybe 4. That's probably all we want in a technical document. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply those styles to our framework and then make sure that they're displaying the way we want, and we'll go from there. So the first thing is your chapter headings. Normally you want your chapter headings to be associated with heading 1, and it can deal with them very specifically to include chapter heading numbers and associate those with equation numbering and stuff like that later on. So the easiest way to do it, I'm going to again close my style sheet so I don't have to do it. We select our chapter heading, and we're going to associate it with heading or style heading 1 by selecting it there. Now, when I look at that, the defaults that come with Microsoft Word as part of the basic document template, it's not me. It doesn't speak to me. It's not typically appropriate of a technical document. So we know we're going to have to go ahead and change it and modify it, but we still want to use the built-in heading 1 because that's going to be important to us when it comes to doing automated features. But let's worry about that in a second. Let's get the rest of our headings and subheadings that we have put into our framework document here. Let's get them assigned to their style, and then we'll go ahead and modify them and choose something that we think looks good for us. So after our chapter heading, if that's going to be heading 1, our main headings will choose heading 2. So we're going to choose heading 2. So introduction be heading 2. Background is probably part of introduction, so let's make that part of heading 3. And you'll see that it wasn't showing heading 3 before, but as we chose heading 2, it knew that we might want to choose the next one in the cascading series of headings, so it added it to it. So we'll choose heading 3. Nope, yep. Pops in heading 4 in case we want to go one step deeper. So let's scroll down. We have background. Let's make literature part of heading 3. So the same level as background, so a subheading under introduction. And then objectives, we're now talking about our current project, so we're back up to heading 2, and certainly the scope could be a subheading of objectives, or it could be on its own. I'm going to make it a subhead. No, I'm going to put it on its own. And then certainly we want to talk about the contributions we're making with our research. So let's put a component in there, make it heading 2, and finally, fairly common in a technical document is to explain to your readers what's going to follow. So we'll talk about the document layout, and again, it'll be a heading 2. So we've got them all assigned, but they're not yet looking the way we want them to look. So let's use the tools that we've already seen from the last tutorial, and let's make them look the way we want them to look. So fairly common, I would say still normal for most technical documents, is your chapter heading is probably centered. So let's choose centered. and we're probably going to get rid of the coloring. So let's get up to a color, the normal color. I'm quite happy with the font. I think the font looks good. A sans serif font is great for headings. It helps catch the eye and to bring your eye to it and focus on what it is that the paragraphs are going to be doing subsequently. But we probably want a little bit of space after it. We have one line of space after our paragraphs. Maybe we want 2 or 3 lines after a chapter heading. So let's do that. We'll open up the paragraph dialog box. Well, let's not do the space before. Let's do the space after. And we'll bring it up to 3 lines. And do that. And that's looking pretty good. Now, this is where we want all of our paragraph styles and everything else to have their spacing all before or all after, so that you're not adding it one to the next. So let's first thing we're going to do is update our style heading 1 to reflect the changes that we've made. So I'm going to go up to heading 1, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say update heading 1 to match selection. And now if we add any more chapter headings, pardon me, if we add any more chapter headings, they will have the same appearance that this one does. And we'll go into introduction. Again, we probably want to get rid of the coloring. I'm happy with the left justify. That looks good. Want to add a little bit of space after. So let's get rid of the space before. Add a line after. And yeah, I guess you have to ask yourself, is the font size correct? I'm happy with the font. I think the size is reasonable. And then we're going to go down, choose that, maybe drop it a point down to 11 so you can tell the difference. Now it's too small relative to the paragraph text, so back up to 12. So that I think you can tell that one is the subheading of the other. We need to add a little bit of space afterwards. Get rid of the space before, add the space after, and we're happy with those. So let's change the definition. So our heading 2, update to match selection, and our heading 3, update to match selection. And you'll see, because we have other paragraphs of the same style, they have proliferated themselves down through the document. Now those are so similar that unless they're side by side, you're not really being able to tell the difference. So perhaps we want to have an indent, just a slight indent, maybe I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, and update heading 3 again to match that. And now you can definitely tell where, which one's a subheading versus just a heading or a subheading. Okay, so we've got our heading framework set up for the entirety of a chapter here, and what we need to do is to go on and look and say, okay, are there any other formatting issues with the headings that we want to do? This may be perfect for your document. Quite often in a technical document, we want those numbered. We want our headings numbered. So we're going to take a couple minutes and see if we can't get our headings to number themselves. And again, that's going to be really useful to us rather than typing it in, because we will be able to use those numbers in the document as it refers to other components. So we have our selection. We have all 3 of our multi-level heading is chosen. So let's assign a numbering style to that. So we're going to use a multi-level numbering. So we'll go up to the paragraph box, pick multi-level list, and we're going to choose a heading numbering cascading scheme such as this. And you see it puts it in, so you get a 1 for the level 1, you get a 1.1 for your heading 2, 1.1.1 for your heading 3. And what we want to do is we want to modify it ever so slightly, because we probably want chapter 1 in heading 1, but nothing to change in headings 2 and 3. So I'm going to go up here And again, I'm going to choose the multi-level list, and I'm going to say define new multi-level list. We're in heading 1, and all I'm going to do is in that heading 1 choose the formatting and put something before it. In this case, it'll be the title chapter. And we'll hit OK. So now it says chapter 1 in front of it. Now we probably want it on a separate line. So I'm going to just manually put in a carriage return between our heading and the numbering of our heading. And we just need to fix our alignment a little bit so that it's properly centered. We need to get rid of that hanging indent that's up there. So we're just going to grab that. Now it doesn't quite line up. Let's get that proper. And now everything is lined up correctly for that. And so let's just test this. Let's see if everything's working correctly. Should update that first off to match that. So let's put in a couple more paragraphs here. And we'll make one a heading 1, so another 2. So we have chapter 2. So if we had another chapter heading in here, we want it to go to the other line. So shift enter, put it down there. So chapter 2. And now if we make that heading, it takes on 2.1 because it's in chapter 2. It's the first section of chapter 2, and maybe that's your experimental program. Okay, so right now everything seems to be working. Now there's one last thing I wanted to show you about styles to make it just work a little bit more effectively. And so to do that, I'm going to choose the first level, and I'm going to go up into modify. And when we look at that, the one box we kind of skipped over before was style for following paragraph. And right now it's choosing the normal style. But typically what we want after a heading style is a paragraph style. So one to the next. And so let's do that. We're going to drop that down. We're going to choose paragraph and OK. And that way, when we hit return, we normally want to have a text paragraph following a heading. So now it's going to do that. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next level. Again, you probably want a text paragraph or a paragraph after that. So let's choose paragraph to follow it so that every time we hit a carriage return after a heading, we're going to get a text paragraph, and we want it to look correct. So we're just put these in here. And that's looking pretty good. I don't think there's anything else. So we have the basic framework for all of our heading styles. We've got the numbering system working out. We're getting our chapter heading in there. We're all good. We can modify any of this at any time. And so we've built ourselves the framework of a decent document that's going to be really easy to edit and generate an automatic table of contents and everything later on. So let's wrap this one up, and we'll see you shortly for the next skill set. And I think we're going to go right into the table of contents and how to generate a table of contents and take advantage of what we've just been doing.